Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to InCorp's first webinar, Compliance Chat, where we'll allow you to ask questions relating to compliance matters in Vietnam. Um, this is our first webinar of this sort, and hopefully we'll have many regular monthly webinars similar to this, where everyone can ask uh, matters relating to tax, legal, and compliance matters in Vietnam. I hope you can hear me well. Um, I like to start by saying that, 2025 has been a very um, significant year in terms of regulatory changes in Vietnam. I don't think we've ever seen a year or a time where so many new laws relating to tax, legal, labor, were all introduced at a very short time period. And if you're like me, uh, you probably left dizzying trying to get up to speed with all the new regulations and law. So that's why we started this program um, to help answer a lot of questions you may have. Let me start by sharing slides. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see my slides right now. Before I start, just a quick introduction. Um, my name is Jack Nguyen, uh, and I'm the CEO of InCorp Vietnam. Um, I have almost 25 years of professional working experience in Canada, United States, and Vietnam. And I've spent the last 13 years in Vietnam, being the country head and partner of a few multinational business and corporate services firm. Quick introduction about InCorp. We are a multinational professional service firm with presence across Asia and the Middle East. We provide a one-stop full suite service for our clients in the areas of market entry, licensing, accounting, tax, HR, and payroll. Um, we have offices in Vietnam, both in Saigon and in Hanoi. Along with me this afternoon will be our InCorp's legal expert, Ms. Cecilia Nguyen, who has more than 10 years of working experience in the legal field and is a member of the Ho Chi Minh City Bar Association. As well, joining me, Mr. C. Pham, who is our head of corporate secretarial and advisory services. C has more than 15 years of professional experience, having worked in major international corporate service firm such as Ernst & Young, KPMG, Deloitte, BDO, and TMF. Between the three of us, we should have enough knowledge or information to help answer a lot of the questions you have this afternoon. Right. I think I will start off by going over three major legal changes in Vietnam in the past couple of months. Um, so these new regulatory changes came to effect in July 1st, 2025. And these are the three major updates were related to EID registration, which is your new digital key for working with the government, enterprise law amendments, which are new rules on disclosing beneficial owners. Okay, and then SHUI updates relating to social health and employment insurance coverage. So for EID company account, this is under decree number 69/2024/NDCP. So to break it down practically, this is, as I mentioned, is your digital key to government interactions. First, the legal representative of your company, whoever that may be, and it could be a foreign national, must obtain what's called a level 2 personal EID. Okay, this involves biometric verification like facial recognition or fingerprints to ensure high security. Once that's in place, you can register a company EID either through the user-friendly VNEID mobile app or by submitting Form TK02 in person or at a local administration office. The processing takes around 3 to 15 working days. And upon approval, you have 7 days to activate it, or else you would need to start again. Practically, I've done this myself as a legal rep of InCorp, and it was very quick and painless. And I have the VNEID mobile app that records all the information relating to myself. So I suggest do this on your VNEID mobile app. So why does this matter? Why VNEID? Vietnam is accelerating its digital transformation with over 80% government services now online, and hopefully approaching 100% in the next year or two. The digital transformation relates to tax filings, customs declaration, and to work permit renewals and business license updates. So it's basically any administrative work relating to a foreign company, foreign individual setting up company in Vietnam. This is now all digital, done digitally. Without active EID, you may face cascading delays, maybe missing a tax deadline, or you cannot submit reports electronically. That could lead to fine or operational suspension. So for foreign companies, this is very important. It adds another layer of complexity. And as an expat legal rep, you might need to navigate language barriers or in-person or travel for in-person verification. Okay, so this is very important. Degree number 69 EID company account. Make sure that you register yourself, get yourself on a mobile app, and so that you are in compliance with all the regulatory matters in Vietnam. All right. The second major change is relates to enterprise law amendments, specifically relating to beneficial owners disclosure. And this also came to effect July 1st, 2025. And it has to do with identifying and reporting your company's beneficial owners. So this introduces mandatory disclosure of beneficial owners. So this is what I would call a significant game changer for transparency, requiring companies to identify and report the real individuals who ultimately own or control the business. Okay, whereas in the past, a lot of foreign companies, individuals set up entities in Vietnam that may either use nominees, trustees, friends, family, etc. And the authorities here could not identify who the beneficial owner is. This new regulation requires the identification of beneficial owners. Excuse me. So in simple term, it's the legal or natural person who owns at least 25% of the company and can exercise significant control over that company through voting rights or board influence. Okay, so it's the ultimate owner. Who is that person? That person needs to be declared. Okay, for instance, if your Vietnamese subsidiary is owned by a foreign holding company, you must trace back to the individuals who is controlling that company, who's pulling the string in effect. So this could be a family trust or a key executives abroad. Okay, so that person needs to be declared. The new requirements include identifying these owners upon incorporation and keeping records updated throughout the company's life in Vietnam and maintaining them for at least 5 years after dissolution. Okay, publicly listed companies get some exemptions, but for most private companies, full compliance is non-negotiable. You have to do it. The why here, why now? Why introduce this enterprise law now? Uh, is basically Vietnam adopting international standard. Okay, this aligns with Vietnam's international anti-money laundering framework, AML, or FATFA, Financial Action Task Force, to combat illicit finance, tax evasion, and corruption, etc. So this is positive in a way because Vietnam is uh, aligning its regulatory standards with those of international standards. Uh, Challenges here could include the detective work involved. Tracing the ownership chains across borders can be very tedious, especially for complex multinational structure, and errors in reporting might trigger audits. So make sure that you do this right, correctly the first time and report the beneficial owner. The third update I want to mention is the social health and employment insurance update. Okay. Um, and this has to do with decree number 41/2024/QH15. This decree expands coverage, significantly tightening enforcement to protect workers in Vietnam's rapidly growing labor market, where the workforce is now exceeding 50 million people out of a population of 100 million people, so over 50% of the people. So virtually all employees with contracts of 1 month or more, including part-timers, non-salary managers, and even some household worker. Uh, there's also voluntary insurance for self-employed and informal sectors, broadening the social safety net. For Vietnamese employees, okay, contribution rates are 8% from the employee and 17.5% from the employer for social insurance, and 1.5% and 3% respectively for employees and employers relating to health insurance, and 1% each for unemployment insurance, and 2% for employer and 1% employee split for the trade union fund. Okay, so basically both the employer and employee are sharing in these additional expenses, um, and to make sure that the employee and employer are compliant with the new SHUI regulation. And there's a late payment penalty if this is not being complied with, and they can add up very quickly. The penalties accrue at 0.03% per day. Okay, so that's for Vietnamese worker. For foreign employees, it's now mandatory for contracts of 12 months or longer, provided they have a valid work permit. So basically, that covers most of the expats or foreign employees working in Vietnam because their minimum contract period is 12 months. And the benefits include maternity leave, sick pay, occupational injury coverage, pensions, and a lump sum withdrawal option when the expat leaves Vietnam. Okay, so that's a very good positive on the law because the expats, having contributed to SHUI all these years they work in Vietnam, can withdraw a lump sum payment when they leave Vietnam. Okay, exceptions exist for intra-corporate transferees. Okay, those that transfer between companies that are in the same group, or those over retirement age, 60 for men and 55 for women, or employees with multiple jobs. Only for employees with multiple jobs, only the primary employer pays. Insightfully, this reflects Vietnam's shift towards a more inclusive economy and is influenced by the International Labor Organization standard. This aims to reduce inequality and rising living costs. For the business, the upside is healthier, more motivated workers, and a share responsibilities in contributing to the social health and unemployment insurance. But in reality, uh, payroll costs for employer could increase 5 to 10% for each firms, especially for SME, small and medium enterprises with part-time staff. Enforcement is stricter with audits of this contribution on the rise. Okay, so the state has taken this very seriously, and they are conducting audits to make sure that employers are compliant and paying their share and their employee share of the social health and unemployment insurance. Um, Other challenge could be foreign companies that overlook these nuances, like how benefits interact with expat tax treaty, leading to overpayments or disputes. Strategically, this is an opportunity for companies to rethink their HR policies, perhaps bundling insurance with wellness program to boost retention. At InCorp, we've assisted a lot of clients in auditing contracts and optimizing contributions, saving thousands in unnecessary costs while ensuring full compliance. So if you're expanding your team, you need to review your payroll policies and systems now. Else non-compliance could lead to labor disputes and fines of up to 200 million Vietnam dong. Okay, so those are the three significant legal changes that came into effect in July 1st that I wanted to highlight for everyone. And to continue into our second session of our program, we've had a number of questions submitted already. Let me stop sharing the screen first. Actually, and get into the answers and question section. Okay. Okay, let me share the Q&A slides. Okay, we'll go to the first question. Uh, are Vietnamese-based companies allowed to use international payment platforms such as Wise or Payoneer, and what are the related regulatory considerations? I'll let Mr. C. Pham answer this question.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Jack. And yeah, this is the mostly that the allowable for the individual or corporate to use is the platform payment platform. That there actually there are many payment platform now available in Vietnam. Not only something like you have already familiar with. And yeah, of course, you can make payment through that payment platform, and but however, that you have to take into account the regulatory consideration to comply with the some in Vietnam, as those payment platform are not recognized by the law in Vietnam and not certified by the state bank in Vietnam, and something like in future when the not legality small amount, therefore big amount is when something happened, not the under our expectation that there no one or the state bank in Vietnam cannot protect the corporate or individual in Vietnam. That's the key reason that we would like to confirm that you can make the payment through that the payment platform, but be carefully. Just the only thing that we can mention. Thank you.
Thank you, C. Going on to the second question, and remember, everyone can ask additional questions once we go through these common questions that are being asked. Second question is, what is the latest VAT regulations on foreign digital service providers? Over to you, C.
Yes, and Jack, that is you already know that the law is applicable to foreign contractor. Is the nature of the foreign contractor withholding tax when the corporate, when the entity is not have present in Vietnam but have income in Vietnam, will be subject to the corporate foreign contractor withholding tax. And when they provide something of the service via the e-commerce platform to Vietnamese customer in Vietnam, that will then will be subject to foreign contractor tax with value added tax 5% and value added tax as 5% and corporate income tax 5% in total. FCT will be 10% in total. Thanks. And the custom in Vietnam, before they make the payment to foreign vendor, they we have responsibility to withhold and pay the tax liability to the state purchase on behalf of the foreign supplier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, C. Going to third question. How is apply the capital gain tax in Vietnam in the case of transferring share and projects? So what's the application of the capital gains tax? Over to you again, C.
Yeah, the capital gain tax in Vietnam applicable to when the owner in Vietnam transfer the ownership to other owner, and they did the capital transfer in the capital transfer agreement, and uh, a part of the licensing procedure that the owner will register with the licensing authority to transfer the ownership of the Vietnam company to the new owner, and they have to declare the capital transfer on the basis that the 20% on net tax again on the capital transfer. For example, if you transfer 20 you have sale price on the capital transfer agreement, you minus the cost and transfer expense related expense, and then you apply 20% on the net taxable gain on that. And the timeline for tax declaration is within 10 days from the day of the signing the transfer agreement. For share transfer, is likely the tax rate will be 0.1% on the gross transfer price. It's not on gain, it's on the transfer price. Is regardless of the S band or cost will not be combined. It is something like purely based on the gross transfer price only. And in the new law, new laws of corporate tax in 2000 effective from October 2025, that there is new regime to apply for the tax capital gain tax, and the mostly will not apply there's a more simple way to apply the tax capital gain tax will only apply on the transfer price only, and currently we are still waiting for the new decree, still in the draft version, but they will be released soon this year, and we're waiting for the new decree will be effective soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, C. Question 4. What are the key licensing, registration, and steps international medical device manufacturers should be aware of to ensure smooth market entry and ongoing compliance? Um, I'll ask Ms. Cecilia to answer this question.
Thank you, and Jack. Hi, everyone. So for this question, I would like to give more information in the presentation about this question. I understand that the question is for the international medical device trading in Vietnam, and those are the step-by-step of the licensing and registration to enter the Vietnam market. The first step is normal, is for the licensing phase, including for the investment registration certificate and enterprise registration certificates. This is applied not only for the trading medical device in Vietnam, but for all of the business activity entered by the foreign investor in Vietnam, and move to the second step for the boss licensing, including like company stamp, e-signature, bank account, and initial tax registration. And moving next for the sub-license, this is very important for the international medical device business in Vietnam. Before importing the medical device to Vietnam, the investor need to register those products in Vietnam and get approval from the Ministry of Health before importing those products into the business in Vietnam. Together with the medical device registration, the foreign investor also needs to get a trading medical device license for Class B, C, D. It means that if the foreign investor is just doing the business related to the medical device Class A only, the investor will not require to get the trading license in Vietnam. And moving to the last step, ongoing compliance, including for accounting, tax report, or investment report. And based on those business line, they require some order report in Vietnam. And for the condition applied to get the sub-license, like the trading medical device or the checklist for medical device registration, and our expert will reach out and share those conditions in detail by email later. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. I just want to remind our audience that if you have any additional question, feel free to type it into the chat box, and we'll try to address them as much as we can during this webinar. All right, on to question number 5. What is the regulatory scope for exporting pharmaceuticals to Vietnam? Exporting pharmaceuticals to Vietnam. Again, asking Ms. Cecilia to respond, please.
Yes, hi. So for the importing pharmaceutical product in Vietnam, so I would like to bring some legal basic in Vietnam for now apply for this product. So according to the decree number 31 and the circular number 34, in one more important international trade agreement WTO of Vietnam and some of the country as the member of World Trade Organization, that pharmaceutical product excluded from the commitment and list of the product that's allowed for foreign investor to distribute in Vietnam. But pharmaceutical product is still allowed to export to Vietnam, but for some specific case like exporting those products to Vietnam and wholesale for the hospital through the pharmaceutical binding process. And for the direct wholesale or retail those products in Vietnam, for now, the Vietnam government is restricted for the foreign investor to do business in this field. And for some of the field that a Vietnam government still allow for direct foreign investor to do the business in Vietnam related to the pharmaceutical product, like if the investor would like to open a manufacturer in Vietnam and produce the pharmaceutical product, and then they can resell the product outside of Vietnam or do the market research in Vietnam for those products before they would like to enter Vietnam. For wholesale or retail activity, we do have some alternative solution for consideration of the foreign investor if they would like to do in Vietnam, but it will take time and many layer and step for foreign director to enter or exporting the product to Vietnam and resell in Vietnam. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. Again, if you have any additional question, feel free to put in the chat box. We have, I see 3 questions in the chat box already, so we'll address those after our Q&A. Moving on to I think the 6th and the last questions in our Q&A. And this will go to Cecilia as well. What licenses, approvals, and compliance steps are required to operate a staffing and recruitment agency in Vietnam? Okay, for a staffing and recruitment agency in Vietnam. Cecilia, please.
Yeah, thanks. The procedure is quite similar with the business related to the medical device in Vietnam, but the difference here is for the sub-license apply for the staffing service and recruitment service in Vietnam. Those business activity is required to get the sub-license before providing the service to the client in Vietnam. And these 2 business line it requires to get the sub-license from the Doliser in Vietnam. For the timeline to obtain the staffing service or recruitment service, it will take around 2 to 3 months to complete with the long list of the condition applied for the foreign investor. Those business line is not apply the sub-license for foreign investor only, but also apply for the local company also, because those service is required for the professional, technical, and experience of the company that can allow to provide those service for the client in Vietnam. And similar with the medical device business in Vietnam, all enterprise in Vietnam will need to comply with the tax compliance report and the investment compliance report, as well as for staffing and recruitment. This also required for the annually report and 6-month report after obtaining the license from the government agency. And for the condition and requirement apply in detail, like the personnel, the experience, and the deposit apply for staffing or recruitment service. Our expert will send an email to the one who gave us the question later via email. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. We actually have one more questions before we open up to the audience their questions. So sorry, my mistake. So we have one more final question number 7, for Cecilia as well. The question is, do you think after providing VNE ID account for foreigner, their identity number will be their tax code? And going forward, will we have e-tax mobile for foreigner as well? So will the VNA ID be the foreigner's tax code, and will there be an e-tax mobile for foreigner? Cecilia?
Yes, and Jack, thank you for that. So this is just a question that I would like to give my personal opinion for this, because for now there is no regulatory guidance for the official notification relating to the VNE ID will be using as the personal tax cost of the foreigner in Vietnam. Currently, the foreigner personal tax code is separate with the VNA ID level 2 and is not linked together. Those are 2 separate systems in Vietnam for now. And in my opinion, because for now to obtaining the VNA ID level 2 for the foreigner must obtain the temporary resident card. This is one of the condition to allow the foreigner to obtain the level 2 EID account. So looking forward, I don't think in the future the VNAD account will be used as the unified number for the foreigner, same as the Vietnam citizen, unless the government will change about the condition and requirement to apply for obtaining the level 2 EID account. So thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. And that concludes our Q&A uh, uh, previously answered. Now we'll go open up the chat box to see the additional questions that people have asked, and either C or Cecilia can jump in to answer any of these questions. The first question we have is regarding insurance obligation. We mentioned that foreigners with contracts of more than 12 months are required to pay for the insurance obligation. What about sole owner who does not have a labor contract with a company? Are they also required to pay insurance obligations? The C or Celia can answer that question. If it's just a sole owner without labor contract, does he or she need to pay for insurance as well?
Jack, I will answer this question because this is a new regulation, already issued this year, and they say for someone who is not hold the executive position in the company, but they will not involved in the operation, they are also required to pay also subject to compulsory social health insurance in Vietnam. It's a new regulation this year. Compared to the last year, this is not a requirement for someone who's not have something like a labor contract with the Vietnam company will not be subject to some social health contribution. But from this year, it's the new regulation, and those persons, despite that they are not involved in the operation of the Vietnam company, or they don't have any labor contract, they still subject to compulsory social house insurance. Please leave your email to us, and then we can research and some do advice by email in detail about this. Thank you.
Thank you, C. Second question in our chat box by Nancy Lee. Our firm used a BVI company as a shareholder to set up an FDI in Vietnam. However, we submitted the IRC application to the Ministry of Industry and Trade back in December last year, but still have not received any approval or feedback, and the authority has not responded at all. We've already sent 2 letters requesting an update, but there's been no reply. It's quite strange. Is there any other way to follow up or inquire with the authority? I mean, I guess one suggestion is use professional providers like InCorp, but I'll ask C if he has any suggestions for following up for a non-response from the ministry. Any ideas, C?
Yeah, this is a normal practice because that the owner or investor from BVI is just something. It's not a country that recognized by WTO commitment. You already know that the Vietnam always focus on WTO commitment, and the country and a member of WTO commitment will be verified and processed by the licensing authority for approval. But actually, for BVI, unfortunately, it's not. And the process now is that when you submit the application for incorporating legal entity in Vietnam, they will be forward the application to the ministry level for opinion on that application, whether whether or not to allow that investor to invest into Vietnam. Yeah, I understand that is normal practice, and of course, you have to when the application those are already submit to the ministry level, you have to wait for a piece of time, and it's not only a couple of days; it's even years or something like that. It's like a very long time to get approval from them. We have a numbers of investors like that, and then we normally advise clients whether they can use the investor from other country, for example, Hong Kong or Singapore or other company or other country recognized by WTO commitment, and then we resubmit, revise the application and submit to the local licensing authority, and that will faster, and then they normally get the easier to get the approval from licensing authority instead of you use the BVI company. You can use BVI company to be a holding company instead, but the direct owner of the Vietnam company should be somewhere Hong Kong, Singapore, or other country as a member of WTO commitment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, C. Again, after this webinar, we'll respond to these questions in an email format, and you can request the email response via email if you want to. We'll also make the presentations available as well. So next question is for foreign legal rep of an FDI company in Vietnam who is not physically present in Vietnam, does not have a work permit or have a salary, does that person still need to contribute to social insurance?
Hello, Jack. Allow me to answer these questions.
Okay.
Okay, so there's two questions including in this inquiry. The first one, is there any recommended solution for this case? Actually, that's based on my experience that we work for many cases for obtaining the level 2 EID account, and for the case similar to your company, our suggestion is just to have the second legal representative that can be obtained the temporary resident card in Vietnam. This is the first. Or your company can consider to appoint a country head, I mean a Vietnamese person in Vietnam, to in charge the role of the second legal rep in Vietnam. And in this case, your company can resolve the issue of the company EID account, because the Vietnamese already have the level 2 EID account. Then your company can register the company EID account with the second legal representative. And move to the next question. The legal rep hold the title of director but not receive the salary. And is it required to participate in social insurance? As Mr. Shi provided the information, this is the new regulation in Vietnam, just come from the 1st of July. So I would like to say that based on the new regulatory in Vietnam, the director must subject with the social insurance in Vietnam. Okay, thank you. I think that's all the information I would like to provide. And if there's any further information or need any clarification, our expert will please give your email so our expert can reach out after the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. Next question is, are there any economic activities not allowed to be started by foreign investors in Vietnam? Any business activities foreigners are not allowed to do in Vietnam since there's sectors protected by the state? To C or Cecilia, I want to answer this question.
So allow me to answer this question, Jeff. So
Okay.
the question is related to the economic activities are not allowed to run by the foreign investor in Vietnam. Actually, that the main commitment between Vietnam and other country will be the World Trade Commitment, the WTO commitment in Vietnam. So to answer this question, there is some business activity that is not allowed for the foreign investor to run in Vietnam, such as for the distribution, some product like the pharmaceutical product or like the for example, like the staffing service. Actually, that the Vietnam not committed for this business line in Vietnam, but in practice, for now, because we have the new law, investment law, so that's allowed in case that the WTO is not committed for this business line, but the Vietnam regulation don't restrict the business line apply for the foreign investor. In this case, it's not kind of like will be easy to obtain the license in Vietnam, but the government in Vietnam, I mean for the Department of Investment and Planning, will forward the application to the ministry level to obtain the approval before they can approve for the application. And to list down on of the economical activity, I think that we will share with you the long list based on the WTO by email later this webinar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cecilia. As we have one more question, is there any guarantee or protection by the Vietnamese government for investment in Vietnam? Not sure what kind of guarantee you mean, but if there's any criminal activities, my guess would be that that has to be dealt with by the police. But like any business venture investment, there's risks associated with the any investment or business that people do, whether they are successful or fail will depend on how that business is operated. But in terms of any other protection, C or Celia, do you have any additional comment?
Yes, and Jack, I have a additional to the your answers about the how is the government in Vietnam will protect the foreign investor when they operate in Vietnam. The firstly that the based on the law investment in Vietnam, there are certain scenario, there are certain way that the government in Vietnam can protect the foreign investor during the investment in Vietnam. For example, that the investor in Vietnam, when they after they establish a legal entity in Vietnam, they can freely do their business with the registered business line that already registered with the licensing authority, and the government will not involve. Secondly, that the government will protect and will not something like a nationalization or expropriation of the investment project of the foreign investor in Vietnam. And the investor, which means that the investor have the legally have the invest the asset or the contribute capital and into for the operation of the Vietnam company. Thirdly, the government in Vietnam will have the guarantee for the stability of the investment policy. For example, the law investment can be maybe changed from time to time, but the government in Vietnam will always protect the highest preferential condition to the foreign investor applying to the investment project in Vietnam. Not less than the differential rate that they already had to. And this additional one that the investor, if for a period of time, then after they invest into Vietnam, they can freely transfer the capital or profit outside of Vietnam. Sorry. Of course, after the Vietnam company already complete all the financial obligation towards the state purchase in Vietnam, and then they can freely transfer the after tax profit to mother company. This is something that we can clarify and highlight about what the government in Vietnam can protect the foreign investor. And yeah, do freely advise us your email, and then we can advise you by email in detail about and discuss with you by call or a message about the in detail about the what we can help and what we can advise you further on this topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, C. And with that answer, that will conclude our first compliance chat webinar, which we will hold on a monthly basis. Again, thank you everyone for attending this webinar. Thank you, C and Cecilia, for participating and answering all the questions. And we'll respond to all queries and make the presentation available to everyone who is interested. Again, thank you, everyone. Goodbye.